Do you suffer from stress, anxiety, or depression? Do you find it hard to focus or to contain your emotions? Any of these things can take you down. So, what then are your personal health practices? If you don't yet have an integral or holistic wellness practice, you're in the right place. Podcast host Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach, has been practicing holistic wellness for 25 years. Along the way, Qigong and Tai Chi found her. After tiptoeing in, she dove into a committed practice and became a teacher and integral wellness consultant. She'll tell you Qigong and Tai Chi changed her life. In this podcast, she interviews practitioners, inviting them to share their stories about how these practices changed their lives too. Go grab your journal. At the top of a clean page, write down, "I want to feel better." Then take a breath and tune in to see if Qigong and Tai Chi can help. Hello, friends. This is a special episode of this podcast series, and I am delighted about it. You heard me interview Ole Smith on how Qigong and Tai Chi changed his life. I invited Oli to come back and talk about what we call one of the buckets of Qigong, which is massage, self-massage, specifically to help us understand how this important practice can help us. Before I bring him on, however, I would like to read his bio for you again so you know exactly who you're hearing from. Ole Smith is a certified senior and integral trainer with the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi and a master teacher in the Liu family lineage of medical Qigong with the Lingui International Healing Qigong School. He received his doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine from Taoist Traditions College of Chinese Medical Arts and has been practicing classical Chinese medicine in Durango, Colorado since 2005. He regularly leads classes and workshops focused on Qigong and Tai Chi. Hello again, Oli. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Great to be back.
Well, I am excited about this particular topic. Before we came live, we were in what we call the green room, and I said to you that early in my practice, when this was introduced to me, I saw what now I know is a bucket, but it was a list on Dr. Roger Yanka's book, The Healer Within, the word massage, and it put me off a little bit in that I said, oh, I'm not either a masseuse and I don't really know anything about massage. I don't really get massages, etc. And so I then, as you could hear in my first episode, pushed through that and decided to read the book anyway. And then I started learning about self-massage. As I indicated in our last discussion, I have learned from you about the beauty and the benefit of this important Qigong practice. So I asked if you would come back and you agreed. And I want to thank you so much for your time. You also told us in the first episode that you're okay going over the foundations over and over. And that's what we're doing here today. So I thought I would ask you to just start a little bit talking about self-massage, the theory and the practice.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So as you mentioned, self-massage is one of the four buckets or baskets or dimensions of Qigong, which are movement, breath work, meditation, and massage. And so each one of those is a healthcare modality. And each one of those is a part of any kind of Qigong practice. You know, each one of those can be the primary focus of a particular session. It can be a standalone practice, or you can draw from all four of those and just, again, create a health and wellness program for yourself. And so self-massage, it's something that we can receive from other people. We can receive massage from other people, but self-massage is something we can do for ourselves. So it becomes a little more accessible that way. And when we're thinking about any kind of medicine, we're really talking about within the body, we have certain patterns that we hold, whether that's patterns of tension, emotional patterns, disease patterns, health patterns, and patterns will remain as they are until they're acted upon by a clearer, stronger, more organized pattern. So for instance, like an antibiotic might be a clearer, more organized pattern than a bacteria that you're dealing with. So that's one way of introducing a pattern. Taking a nice deep breath is introducing a pattern, a very clear and organized pattern into your system. Aligning your posture is a way of introducing patterns. And so the self-massage is another way of doing that to, if we are feeling tense, if we're feeling anxious, if we're feeling wound up, if we're experiencing pain, discomfort, anything like that, that is a pattern that we can act upon with a clearer, stronger pattern. And when we do that with self-massage, the general principles that we're following is that first we begin generally. And so we begin generally by focusing on areas like the hands, the face, the ears. These are places that our nervous systems are actually hardwired to pay more attention to. This is just Western anatomical science. There's something you can actually Google it. It's called the homunculus. And what it is it's the human form that's been swelled up in the areas where the nervous system pays more attention to. And I always thought the homunculus was like, it looked to me the first time I saw it a lot like Mick Jagger. No disrespect to Mick, but big hands, big lips, big nose, sinuses, big ears. And so what that tells us is that if that's where our nervous systems are hardwired to be receiving information from, and if we're feeling a little overloaded and we need to discharge our nervous system, those are great places to go to do that. Those are also great places to have an effect on places that go beyond the hands and the lips and the nose and the ears and the face. We can affect our whole nervous system that way. So we start generally. And then we move a little more specifically general, like places like, say, the neck and the shoulders and the chest and the abdomen. And so, it's not a specific location. It's still a general location. But, when you get a neck massage, even if you're having back pain, it can help your back. So it's more specifically general. We're kind of moving from the extremities and the sensory organs into the body. So neck, shoulders, chest, abdomen, where our organs are. Once we've done that, then we can move to a specific place that's specific to us in the moment. So whatever we need, if we need to place our hands over our heart and just breathe into our heart and calm ourselves down. If it's maybe we've got some digestive issues and we want to rub our bellies, or maybe we have a headache and we'll spend some time massaging our scalp. So we move again from the general to the generally specific to the specific with the self-massage. And so that's a template that we can follow to really give ourselves an effective kind of recalibration, clearing out anything that needs to be cleared out, stimulating and waking up things that need to be woken up, and then introducing a clearer, stronger pattern into our system that relates to feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling well. That's the intention of the self-massage.
Oh my God. This is so good. First of all, I really want to speak to people who are watching this or listening to this. I literally was just furiously writing. This was like a lesson that is so simple, easy to understand. And I want to say this stuff works. So as I indicated before, I didn't know anything about this. I was never taught it. I never heard of it. Not really, about going to get a massage, just like you said, but the progression, the formula that you just provided for us, which I'm actually going to write out in the show notes for us, where you start with the hands, face, and ears, where your nervous system is hardwired. And then I've learned this so much from my training with you and the other teachers in the IIQTC, the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi, about the whole middle area massage. So many people have gut issues. So many people have got issues. This is something that can speak to that. And then the specific place for us, I don't know if you know, I got a bad episode of sciatica in the middle of this year because I was in pretty good shape. I was down for 10 days. I pretty much couldn't walk. But then with PT and Qigong, I came back pretty quickly, much more quickly. Even my PT was like, this is fast. And I did a lot of self massage, of course, in these areas. I could feel it still, where you get that sciatica episode. So, first of all, thank you for that. That was clear. That was fantastic. And I wanted to ask you, would you lead us now in a little practice of self massage? I'll just basically be here to follow you. And our viewers can watch first and then practice, or they can practice along with us.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you. Yeah, we can basically just follow the formula that was just presented. We'll go through that and we'll try to do it in about 10 minutes or so. And granted, this is something that could be stretched out, into even the better part of an hour. So, but it would be the same formula, maybe just spending a little bit more time on each one. So yeah, so let's begin as we always begin any Qigong practice by bringing our awareness to the three treasures. And those three treasures would be our body and our alignment of the body. And then expanding awareness to include the breath. So taking a nice breath, feeling how it moves into and through the body. And just letting the alignment of the body, the sensations, and the movement of the breath be the focus of the mind. And so to begin the self-massage, we can begin by just rubbing our hands together. So starting with the hands. And, you can just rub the palms together and feel the sensation of heat that gets generated, or you can massage the pinky edge of one hand with the other and move over to the thumb and do the same thing on both sides. And I'm sure you and many people watching are familiar with reflexology, the modality of reflexology, which is a map of the whole body on the hands. And so we're essentially giving ourselves a whole body massage. And, you can study reflexology and learn all of the landmarks and the locations of where certain things are on your hands, or you can just massage your hands. And anywhere that feels like it would like some extra attention, anywhere that feels a little sore or tender or hot or cold or something, just give that some extra attention. And then after you're done, if you want to look at a reflexology chart and see what those spots that felt tender correspond to, you can do that. And often it's pretty mind-blowing. But really all we need to do is this, just rubbing the hands together, maybe taking a nice deep breath in and then shaking the hands out, just discharging the energy, just letting things go. If it's, flicking the fingers out, if it's grasping a little bit, any of those things work. So that's just a very simple hand massage. And then from there, we can move to our face. And this is something where, you can massage your face up and out a couple times, but if you're out, if you have any kind of makeup on or glasses that aren't conducive to rubbing your face that way, you can also take your middle and ring fingers and just lightly tap over your eyebrows, going back and forth across the eyebrows once or twice. And again, anytime you feel any spot that feels a little lively or tender or asleep, just any kind of thing, spend some extra time there. You can work your way underneath to the lower aspect of the eye socket. There are so many really important acupuncture points around the eye sockets. You can come out to the side of the eye and work your way above the bone in between the ear and the eye. And then if you'd like, you can come underneath that bone so you get more into the big meaty jaw muscle, which for most of us, we're going to find some tender spots there. So, don't tap to the point where it feels uncomfortable, but feel something. Give yourself what your body is asking for. A little bit of tension might just means that there needs to be some attention given to that area. And then you can pat under your cheekbone and out across your upper lip, in between your nose and your upper lip, and then back out and follow the angle of the jaw down and out to the chin, in between the lower lip and the chin, and then working your way back out. And then you can work behind that back corner of your jaw, which also might be pretty tender. There's some lymph nodes there. There's some muscles that keep our head onto the top of our neck there. And if you'd like, you can gently stroke over the neck, just helping the lymph move. This is the area of the voice box. This is the area of the thyroid gland. So bring some attention to this area. And then from here, you can work your way back up and then tapping again, just tapping up behind the back of the ear, over the top of the ear, and then right back out to the eyebrows where we started. And you could do that whole sequence again if you'd like, or you can, do a nice little just fluff of your face, wake things up, and then take a breath in and shake it out. Freshening up the chi in our hands, noticing how they feel, maybe different than when we started just a couple minutes ago. And there's other ways that you can massage the ears. You can take like your like money in between your fingers. You can rub your ear that way. You can make forward circles over your ears. I like to take Spock fingers and go in front and behind my ear and just up and down a couple times. And again, when you're ready, just a nice deep breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together, and then from here we can move to our necks. So you can take one hand to the side of your neck and just massage your neck any way you'd like. And I like to move my head up and down as I'm massaging, or even turning side to side. It just helps, the movement of my neck kind of helps my hand work the muscles of my neck into the bones of my neck and just find the spots that need it. You can work the same side that the hand is on. You can reach all the way across to the other side of your neck and just drag across. And just doing that, like exploring, having fun, finding what feels good and doing that. There is a saying in Qigong. We say when you do something good for yourself, you get something good in return. And if that good thing is an endorphin release, if it's pain relief, if it's just feeling better, like that's worth it. You can change sides whenever you're ready. And whenever I give myself a neck massage, the first thing that I always think is like, wow, this feels so good. and then the second thing I think is like, why has it been so long since I've done this? Even if it's only been a day or so. So, our necks hold so much tension for so many different reasons. And so just a little something like this for, a minute or less even will benefit us in so many ways. So we can just kind of balance things out from side to side, take another deep breath in and then out. So moving from the neck to the shoulders, what I like to do is I like to support one arm with an elbow, and then you can either make a beak with your finger or like a soft fist or even like a chopping kind of tool, whatever you need, and just working along the top of your shoulder. And it's interesting that, this area, I think just about everybody says, I hold tension in my shoulders. We have arms that are exactly long enough to get to this spot. So that tells you something. And then if you'd like your hand, you can come down underneath your collarbone, just working across the upper chest. And then coming down along the side of the sternum. At this point, I like to use the beak with my fingertips and kind of work in between the rib spaces where the sternum and the ribs come together. Whew, there's always some juicy bits in there, some spicy areas. And it makes sense, right? We can sometimes collapse in our chests, whether that's respiratory issues, cardiac issues, emotional issues. And whenever you're ready, we can just switch to the other side, working the neck, shoulders, and then if you'd like, coming down underneath the collarbone and just working there, upper chest, breathing. And then if you want to make a beak shape with your hands and work down the edge of your sternum. And again, inevitably, there's going to be some tender spots. So, give those spots some extra attention. Breathe into them. See what information is ready for your body. Your body's ready to reveal to you. And then if you'd like, you can kind of do both hands and just do like a little gorilla Tarzan type thing on the chest. I sometimes like to do an audible exhale as I'm doing this, like, ah, just feels good. It's good to do that when you're alone if you'd like, so you can get weird with it if you want to. And then coming down onto the upper or the lower ribs, I usually at this point just kind of switch to massaging the area of the spleen and the stomach and the pancreas and the liver and the gallbladder, and then the hands can just naturally move on to the abdomen. And there's no one way of doing this. So you can bring one hand over the chest, the heart and lungs, and the other over the abdomen, and they can switch positions. You can bring both hands together, and you can make big circles over the abdomen in one direction, and you can go back in the other direction. You can make very small circles within a larger circle as you're working around your abdomen. So again, just do different things, try different things, see what feels good, and then do more of that. And this is an opportunity also to acknowledge our organs in our body, like our liver that does so much to keep us alive, or our heart and lungs, or our stomach that just receives whatever it is we put into it, usually without complaint, or the intestines, large and small, the urinary bladder, the reproductive organs. And then from there, we can come around our waist to the area of the low back and the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the lumbar spine, the sacroiliac joint, the backside of the diaphragm. And then when you're ready, let's draw our hands out, shake them out. Rubbing the palms together. So we just went general with the hands, the face, the ears, a little more specifically general with the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the abdomen. So now we've generated some medicine. We're in the mode. And so if there's a specific area that you need some medicine, you can just apply your hands to that area and just do some pressure. You can rub, you can tap, you can pinch. The area might be a joint that needs some support, might be a gland somewhere that just needs attention. It might be a place that feels like there's some emotional congestion. So go there and do what intuitively feels right. Like again, pressing, squeezing, tapping, stroking, just holding, being intentful. Where I need medicine is different than where you need medicine. So go to where you need to go. And then just to finish up, now that we've kind of gone more specific, now just a big kind of body sweep. We can just bring our hands over our head, down the back of our neck and around, under our collarbones, down the back of our bodies, down the sides of our legs as low as you'd like to go, coming up the front, over the thighs, over the belly to the chest, and then just out the arms. And then what we can do is just take a moment, return to those three treasures we started with. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end of Qigong. So the alignment, feeling how you feel in your body. Maybe it's different than when we started. Maybe we don't remember how we felt when we started, but we can feel how we feel right now, which is probably good. And we can take a breath into our whole body and just recognize how we feel, recognize that we made ourselves feel this way in a very short amount of time. And it's something that we can do whenever we need to for free.
Oh my gosh. For people who are not watching, but they're listening, I have a big grin on my face and I'm laughing a little bit. You know, this is what I'm saying, friends. This is what I learned. It's so powerful. Moving the lymph system, you know, moving the energy and the actual fluids in the lymph system to reduce, you know, inflammation and such. Doing that face massage that I forgot in my own weekly group that I used to do that neck massage every single week. Like I used to start it in the evenings, whatever the, business group with the neck massage and so on. Thank you so much. I really want to speak to the people who are listening and viewing this. And I want to invite you to replay this on your own, at your own pace, privately, and do this all again. This is, there's nothing, no forms to learn, no breath work to think you have to understand. This is, as it turns out, the easiest form. You don't have to worry about getting quiet and still to be able to meditate. This is one of the easiest dimensions of Qigong. I want to say thank you so much for taking this moment to practice. So we take one hand and the other and we bow and we say thank you so much. And this was an unexpected outcome of this podcast, that we would do a little bits of practice in real time. So I want to tell you, Oli, you can be certain I will be watching this again.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very, very much for your time today. Thank you for practicing with us. Thank you for teaching with us. And I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here as always.
Take good care.